Hey guys, welcome to Moving On TV and the Positivity Show. Today I've got Elaine Searle coming on to give us some positive news about the children, and basically we're going to do our best to find out as much as possible about what's really going on and all the good news. So I want to talk to her about the DUMs. She'll explain what they are, and yeah, so welcome to Moving On TV. Hang on, she's coming on now.
Okay.
Okay, hi Elaine. Oh,
Hi, Laura. Nice to meet you.
I'm so excited to have you on Moving On TV because we're going to be sending out a lot of positivity for a change, and a lot because people are always asking the same questions over and over again. What is really going on? And where are the kids and all this sort of stuff. So before we start, I understand you're in Devon now. You're in Devon.
I am.
In North Devon. So let's start with a very, very generic question that everyone asks. How's the weather?
Sorry?
How's the weather?
The weather here is showery and it's colder.
Yeah. It's the same here. I'm in High Wycombe.
Oh, right.
Sharon, we had the most incredible, beautiful weather. For the last couple of weeks, it's been so hot. And now it's gone into predictable end of September weather. So
well, this morning when I got up, it was only 12 degrees here, which is not very warm.
No. So we have to get onto our vitamins to get ourselves well, our echinacea. Just in passing, Laura Ward put on a fantastic recipe of how to stay well through the winter and not catch any naughty flu bugs, if you know what.
Did she?
Yeah, and I can send that to you. It's made with lemon and grapefruit. Use the peels and you boil them up, and I think you add some stuff to it, and that's it. That's all you need.
Well, of course, grapefruit has quinine in it.
Fantastic, I know.
Yeah.
Let's go back a bit because I love to find out as much as I can about people. So Elaine, tell us a little bit about yourself, about your background. Where were you born? How did you come into all of this? But originally, just tell us a little bit about yourself so we can get to know.
Well, I'm a Devonshire maid, actually, born and bred, and but I've travelled the world. I've got a good education, and I spent 20 odd years in social housing. But I'm a lady of leisure now, and I found sometime last year my psychic side, which comes from my grandmother, was very active. And it felt almost like I was being protected and I was in a bubble, as if I was waiting for something. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so my intuition just said, slow down, rest, recuperate. You're going to be needed, Elaine. And well, what happened was, of course, I had all this time on my hands, and I started to look at things on the internet. And I think it was about November, December time I discovered Q.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Q posts fascinated me, and I started to try and interpret them and so on. And then after Christmas, we had, of course, the first cases of COVID-19 start showing up. So I just went from there, really. I mean, I've got an intuitive background. My grandmother, her mother, it goes right back through. They're from Ireland, and they were psychics and hedgerow witches, and
Okay.
they sort of left me this gift, and so I read tarot and I do various readings. But funnily enough, during this last year, that's gone very much into the background. It's almost as if I'm changing, I'm developing, and I know I'm growing. So,
Okay.
but I started to discover that COVID-19 wasn't all that it seemed earlier this year. And at first I was a bit worried, but it didn't really shaped me, because something in my heart told me I didn't really need to worry.
Okay.
And I've followed that, and I've never worn a mask or really socially distanced unless I've been asked to. You know, I'm a great believer in building up your own immunity to things. And in March, the World Health Organization downgraded COVID to a flu virus. Now, we all know that flu viruses don't cause lockdown. So the idea was I would look into it and see what I could find out about why we were being locked down for a flu virus.
Mm-hmm.
And I've come up with all sorts, and I don't think there's any need for any of us to panic. In fact, I think we're going to move into a wonderful time for all of us. And I do think there's a need for us to stand up for ourselves peacefully and stand in our own sovereignty and be truthful. And I think that we need to stand up for our children and the fact they're having to wear masks in certain circumstances, because it will affect them for a long time to come.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, basically everything went bang and my whole view of the world changed. So,
okay, can we? Thanks, Elaine. That's amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I feel exactly the same as you. I started to get into a mode of fighting. I'm an ex-war child. I grew up in Israel, and so I started to get into that mode of fighting, and I was going to Trafalgar Square and I was doing everything, you know, on that line. And then on Saturday, I had a massive, and I realized that something was trying to lead us into violence and war. And I walked, and I totally agree with you. What we've got to do is we've got to wake up as many people. We've got to teach common law. We've got to use our brain and our heart, but we must not fight. But I want to go back again. I want to go a bit further back, Elaine, because not everybody picks up on this like you. So you said that you came from a background where your family, the women, were hetero witches. Is that what you said? Do you want to explain a bit about that?
Yeah, my grandma was a wonderful woman. She had no real education. She couldn't read or write properly. She used to write her little notes and letters in Devonshire. She'd spell it in Devonshire and everything, you know. But she had an uncanny ability to heal things, and her own recipes passed down from her mum as to what would take away certain ailments and things like that. And she was quite a character, you know. She was very superstitious. My mother didn't believe in any of this, but had the sixth sense that she had, and the intuitive gene, if you like. But basically, Gran and her mother were practicing psychics and witches, you know, but in the best possible way, in the way of being a light witch, you know. And they always had busy houses, people coming in and out, people coming to ask for advice, people coming to ask for, could they got anything to help this, you know, or whatever. And I have a natural ability to cook. I love looking at natural cures. I'm a great believer in eating the proper foods, you know, and I get it all from them because, you know, that it's sort of in me, if you like.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You see, these are the kind of people that knew from the beginning, like you and me, we knew from the beginning that this was not a serious virus or a pandemic, because we knew that we could heal everything. Because, you know, for years and for centuries, we've been using natural methods to heal everything, as you said, and you were more or less brought up that way. So, but what I want to ask you now is, because this is the big question that everyone wants to know. And wherever I go, everyone says, oh, how come we can't see evidence of the kids being released. So the first thing I want you to explain is, what are the DUMBs, the DUMBSs?
Right.
So basically, can you first of all explain to us what are the DUMBS? What do DUMBs mean? Can you explain that first?
Yeah, the DUM their letters standing for various words, of course, and it's Deep Underground Military Base. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
They're changing that at the moment in Trump speak and everything in the Q team to SUMBS. Okay, Secret Underground Military Bases. They're changing it because they're not. I mean, they're all deep, but they come from different levels. Some are like hundreds of miles deep towards the Earth's core. But basically, I think they don't want them. They aren't associated with the present teams that are cleaning them out, and they wanted to separate it from that. So basically, but everybody will know generally, probably, and it as DUMBs. Okay, and it's a deep underground military base.
Okay, so they've created these bases, have they, in order to go under into the tunnels to release the children? Is that what they've created them for?
No. These deep underground military bases have been there, some of them for centuries. They can be ancient tunnels, and they crisscross all over the world, from continent to continent, from under the sea, from one end of the Americas to the other, all around the Caribbean, under the oceans. They are massive network of underground tunnels built by the deep state.
Oh my God. And this is where they experiment on the children, they do the sex trafficking, they're just doing horrendous stuff to kids in these DUMBs. Is that what you're saying? And what's all across the world?
I can only repeat what I've seen on my explorative journey, but basically, from what I understand, after the Second World War, they exported all of Hitler's scientists to America, and those scientists were then given jobs to carry on the experiments that Hitler started. And we all know Hitler did some dreadful things to people, and the Jews in particular. But
I'm Jewish.
Yeah, right. Jewish. So that will pull a chord with you, won't it?
Definitely. Yes.
But basically, this is not the general public in America. Most of the politicians did not know anything about this. It was a very secretive thing, and has been goes back to the times of Solomon. You know, it goes back a long way. And they've hidden from us and abducted our children and our young girls for things that they do to them, which are unspeakable. And basically, this has been going on for a long time. There have been several presidents and good people that have tried to make a dent in this and stop them, but they've all been taken out for some reason or other. And the Trump
team, I presume. Sorry.
Yeah.
John F. Kennedy.
Well, people like Kennedy, people like Reagan, people like Martin Luther King, the deep state took it. Were responsible for all of those because they knew about this going on and tried to stop it. But Trump was approached many years ago now, probably maybe 20 years ago, and asked would he like to stand for president and would he be the light in the dark. And
oh, sorry, is this connected with JFK Jr. when he was supposed to have been killed?
Yes, there are people that believe that JFK was just whisked away and it will re-emerge. There are some people that say when Trump did his Mount Rushmore speech this year, JFK was on the top of one of the presidents. There was a man up there, but whether it was him, I don't know, you know.
But the
I
timing,
can't give you definites because everything is so unbelievable at the moment. But I can give you what is going on underneath the mainstream media, because the mainstream media know about all this, but they're being told not to touch it. They're controlled by the deep state. So television, newspapers, magazines, internet news, things like Yahoo News, Google News, Huffington Post, you know, all these things are controlled by the deep state. And we need to break away from watching the television and the media. And we need to, I haven't watched the television for 5-6 years, something like that.
I don't blame you. I mean, we're looking at the work that I've done with Laura Ward, for example, about 8 million children a year going missing in the world.
I know, the figures are horrific, aren't they?
Unbelievable. And the media never highlight it, not once. So we know that there's some kind of controlled something going on here. And but what I want to come back to you here before we go into how you found all this information out and what else you're finding out is, who do you think is doing this? I mean, for me personally, I feel that there must have been some kind of dark alien force intervention, like JFK said, who are the Greys and why are they here? Because I can't believe, Elaine, that humans originally could do this, such cruelty, because I think it must have started in some way with some kind of dark alien force, that we were sold out. We were sold out in some way. And then they manipulated a lot of people that were happy to go with their id, you know, that had very uncontrollable sexual desires and also were very, do you know where I'm coming from here? Do you think that it started with
I do, but I mean, I've looked at being spiritual. I've looked at every aspect. You know, I've looked at the alien alliances. I've looked at spiritual stuff. I've looked at different religions. Looked at the Bible. I've looked at the general consensus in the Q arena. Everything. And what's absolutely positive for me is that nearly every religion has predicted this event, and it's predicted that we will win. And I already know that we have done an awful lot of the work. The trouble is, according to spiritual people, you find that they're talking about we are going from a 3D to a 5D consciousness. Okay, now.
Sorry, do you want to explain that to anyone who doesn't actually understand, not to myself?
Well, it's the levels of consciousness are levels of your understanding and how you apply them to the world. Okay, but that's also your spiritual side, your mental side, your physical side. It affects all of it. So basically, at the moment, most of the world is in a 3D consciousness state, and they don't realize there's anything else going on around them. They just see the world as it is and know what they have to do, and that's what they do every day. They don't look any further. The trouble is, we have been led into believing that this is a good world and that we will be given whatever is necessary to manage our lives. Okay, but if you look at this, all the different religions and all the different spiritual things and so on, and you start joining the dots, you realize that many years ago, before anybody could read or write anything, you know, these aliens apparently came to Earth, okay, the dark ones, and there are 3 different kinds. The Greys are one of them, which JFK Jr. did speak about, you're right. But the dark ones have built their own teams. It goes back as far as Egyptian times and beyond, because If you remember, there was a group of Egyptians that had the high domed heads. It
Yes.
was the cranial bit was shaped ovally and much bigger than normal. And if you look at the Rothschild heads, they are slightly bigger, and they are the remnants of those Egyptians. So there are supposed to be 13 of the original families that came to Earth. They were still prevalent in this world. They were in control of everything. Money, drugs, everything, banking, well, I can't really, it just encompasses everything. I can't split it off, okay. But according to my sources and what I've learned, those 13 families have been taken out. There is an awful lot of cleaning up of these dark aliens going on, and the Bible's pictures of devils and demons and all this are actually what they've found in some places. Under Australia, for instance, in I think it's under the Red Rock in Australia, there is a huge area that at the moment a psychic friend of mine has seen demons being sucked down a fire whirlpool. So light is winning, and that is my message. Light is winning, but we all need to be behind that light.
Okay, it's interesting that you mentioned Australia, because they've gone through so much hell with all of this COVID. But isn't it true that the Satanistic Ritual Abuse, the SRA, is the biggest in the world in Australia, apparently, in Melbourne in particular? Is that why they've gone through more lockdowns and more vigilant lockdowns than the rest of us, do you think?
Well, Trump, of course, talks in code, and so do the Q team. And when you hear the words COVID lockdown, it's usually because they've found something like a huge dam, and that dam needs cleaning out, and the children need saving, and anybody else they can find, like young women who are made to have certain kinds of babies, etc., etc. So when you hear like Australia's been very strict on the lockdown, it's because they've had a particular dam that was very hard to, or very large, or they discovered something there that they weren't sure how to deal with, and it's taken them a lot longer. But basically, Australia was a key place. It's a massive, massive place for dams. And the original Aborigines, of course, were the original race. And they knew something was coming. There's been a prophecy about December 2020. So they had particular skills in the other worlds, if you like. They have rituals that they performed, and no other race has had these rituals. They were the originals with these sort of things, and they were the first to go, if you like, because the Dark Ones wanted the energy from them to perform for themselves, because the Dark Ones can't do what we can do. We can ascend through the consciousness levels, but they can't do that. They're not able to. They have to do it with a drug, and that drug is adrenochrome.
Okay, well, let's come back again to Australia, because I wanted to follow up on that, because I'm very aware of Fiona Barnett's work, Lollipop Girl, and everything that she speaks about, the rape and paedophilia, Nicole Kidman's family, and the Hillary Clinton and everything. And of course, she's Australian. And so when you look at that, and also, funny enough, Israel is locked down again. And of course, Italy, because of the Vatican. So you and I can see the common sense, Elaine. But when you look at an ordinary person on the street, or even a person that's awake, and I know a lot of people that are not wearing masks, and they're awake, and they're going to Trafalgar Square, and they're being confronted by the issues and the problems, you know, by these speakers that are standing up and telling them. And when you try to tell them, look, the kids are being released, this has all been done for a reason, they look at you and they say, no, I'm sorry, I don't buy into it. I have to go out there and I have to do what's right for my family. And so what can they do? I mean, unfortunately, I feel that people, after the Trafalgar Square thing on Saturday, I was really concerned, because one of my friends, one of the guys in our group, was the guy that actually got smashed on the ground, Jan.
Right, yeah.
And then the other two guys that I chatted to, they wanted a fight. They couldn't wait to go back and confront the police. And to me, that's very, very dangerous. So when I said to them, look, I'm going to do a program with someone who's going to prove to you that there is a huge amount of evidence and links that you can go on, that this is actually all about the kids, all about releasing the children, ending the pedophilia, ending the sex trafficking, which is what all of us want. All of us want. They just look at me and they say, it's rubbish. They say, Trump is not a good guy. And I don't know what to say to them. So what would you say? I mean, you've done a lot of research.
Well, I mean, our media, because they're deep state backed, and the deep state knows America is a powerful country, okay? And it's them they've tried to bring down completely. And to do that, they need to get rid of Trump, because the Democrats are in their pocket, okay? And Trump is not a Democrat. He's actually more of an independent. He's a Republican, but he wasn't a politician. He was a businessman, and he was asked to stand and to do this. He's had a terrible life. He's had over 57 attempts on his life, and it's not publicized. We never hear of this. You know, he's working 24/7, and he's trying to save the world from this darkness that was looming. And he's winning, and I know that in my heart, and I know it from stuff that I've read. Okay.
Okay, what could you... So that's where it gets really fascinating, because I've felt this about Trump for a long time. There's 1% of me that I have to hold back, because you never trust anyone or anything 100% ever. That's what I learned from my life. But I have seen the work he's done. I saw him standing up in church, praying for every tiny baby, and saying that he's got to call on a lot of forgiveness for those that kept saying impeach Trump, impeach Trump. Not only that, I feel, because I'm a starseed and you're a starseed, I feel that when he always says Trump, he never actually refers to himself as a human. He always says, look at Trump. He looks at himself from above, like he's looking down. And that's really interesting, because usually people don't say, your president or Trump. Do you understand? They usually say me. And I think that's interesting, because it is.
I find him a fascinating person. I was really anti-Trump. I let the mainstream media kind of twist my view of him, and we've never been keen on the Americans since the Second World War. We've had this, the Yanks were here, they say they did this and they say they did that, and basically without them we would have lost. But basically they did come in and help. And yes, they do brag, and yes, they are full of themselves, and yes, they left a horde of tiny little babies in this country when they went home. So you can understand why the British are a bit anti the Yanks. But I have been, since the end of last year, looking at things in the American political arena, and I am now convinced that Trump is a good man, and that he's trying very hard to get the whole world into a state of joy and happiness and freedom and sovereignty in a way that no other person has ever done before. And he's already started the steps for various things to click into place. But of course, this whole job has been a massive undertaking, and the States is now 92% clear of all guns. In Europe, we're still only a quarter done, and things are going on under our nose at this moment. Italy, for instance, there were three major points in the deep state empire: London, Rome, and the US. Okay. So basically, the Vatican was a major place, and Italy, for deep state and dumbs. So Italy, of course, had a much harder, much deeper COVID response than anybody else, because COVID is used as a code name, if you like, for we are in there cleaning up.
Okay.
Okay.
That's
So
a very positive message, but where's the proof? You see, this is what they keep wanting. Where's the proof?
Well, I can only tell them they need to start looking at the QAnons, and they interpret the Q posts, and they will give it to you. Also, I can give you at the end of the video complete list of things that I watch on YouTube, and that gives me my information, along with other things I've learned along the way. Okay, so I can actually help your people to tap into some of this truth, if you like, but they must listen to their heart, not their head.
I have a lot of people saying the same. Luckily, it comes to me from different directions. People have been on board for a while and giving me the same sort of information. But like I say, I as well, I must admit, I lost my hope, and on Saturday when I came home, I was really, really concerned and thought, how the hell are we going to do this? But then when I think about, I know that we have a law. Like if we come back to the UK, we can pull ourselves out of this by using the common law. And apparently, is it Article 21 that we need to use, that I hear of, that we can use our common sense and we can use our wisdom to not let ourselves being drawn into the violence. So, but you're saying that this is all going to die down, that all the violence is going to die down. And so
well, the advice at the moment from those that are awake and aware is, when you're told to lock down, stay inside, do as you're told, because not necessarily wear a mask or whatever, you know, but go home, keep to the curfew hours, and so on, because it's for your good, not for theirs. And it means that under the cover of darkness, our military is going in to clean out some mess underground somewhere. And they don't want the public involved in this or hurt in any way, because some of these creatures do actually escape. And basically what they don't want is anybody harmed. So it's to keep us safe that they lock down. It's a very good thing, and it won't go on forever. It won't go on for long. But basically...
Sorry, I have to stop you there, because unfortunately so many people are going downhill. I mean, they're losing their businesses, they're losing everything, and the loneliness and the depression, and, you know, people that haven't got anything. I mean, it's very, very difficult to get through that. I mean, I'm in a position where I'm okay at the moment. I got my husband gets a furlough. We're separated, but he is still helping me with that. He's staying with his family, luckily. But if he wasn't, you have to go through the madness of trying to get universal credit. So what I'm trying to say is, as a media person who gives the truth, who wants to help humans, I think people are looking at this and they're thinking, well, it's nearly, we got locked down in March, April, May, June, July, August, September, 7 months. I was never locked down. I was always out, always went to my allotment. And, you know, I live in a village, and... well,
I'm lucky enough to live in a nice place as well.
In a nice place. But again, what I'm saying is these people, their lives are falling apart completely. And they even those that don't watch the media, they are going out now to prove that they can't, they're not going to do it. They're not going to do another lockdown. It's just not...
I can only say that the lockdown is also there to show us if we were still under the deep state, we would be under horrific restrictions, okay? So most of us would now be in some sort of camp, and they would be looking at using eugenics to get rid of us, you know, because they all believe in that sort of thing. And so I think what's happening is our own countries are kind of showing us what it would be like, if you like. But I don't believe that we should be sitting down taking this on the chin. I believe we should be out there voicing our objections. I believe we should be making a stand in lots of ways, but peacefully and lovingly. And you have to remember that anybody like the police, who were once public servants, are now working for the establishment, not for us. So if they're told to go out there and stand up for themselves and beat somebody who shouts at them and abuses them and so on, walk away as quick as you can. Don't engage at all.
I agree.
Because we don't need to. The light has won. It's just a case of cleaning out everything now, and a period of time where we will be experiencing disruption, and there will be some casualties, maybe. Could be you, could be me, could be anybody in certain respects. But the worst is done, and I think by the new year we'll be seeing a big difference.
Okay, so let's come back to that a second, where you were saying, so I agree with you, it's all about finding that bit in the middle. You know, you have to find the bit in the middle. You don't get into the violence, because then we're never going to change the consciousness. We're going to have war, another war. And what's the point? Another war brings another war. You kill one policeman, then another person will come, and then another 20 people. And it's like an eye for an eye. But so you've got to find that bit in the middle, which is, thank God, we have got.
Well, I saw another gathering, and the women were shouting at the police, "Shame on you."
Yeah, that was.
And that was all they said. There was no violence, no nothing.
That was at Geza's, I think. When we left Trafalgar Square, Geza gave himself to the police.
Right.
He said, "Arrest me," so that no one else would be arrested. And that was the difference between him and the people that were standing on the stage in Trafalgar Square. There's very different consciousness going on there.
But a peaceful protest with a catchphrase like "Shame on you" when the police start getting more aggressive. Aggression only meets with aggression.
Okay, but can I come back to what you just said there? Because on one hand, you're saying we're winning. You see, this is where the confusion is. We're winning, and there's a lot of things that are being cleared out, and Trump is basically, somebody said to me, Trump owns the world now. Someone said, that's it, he's actually in charge of everything. Well, if that's the case, how come the police are still part of the deep state? How come they're still being told to use violence? You see, there's a lot of confusion going on. So
but that's because you and I are in the minority, and not many people realize all this is going on, and they're not awake yet. So they're looking at a 3D reality, and the 3D reality is dealing with them. So until they can rise above that and actually look at it in a different way, like we don't need to make violence our action when we go on these rallies. We can actually peacefully just blockade the Houses of Parliament so they can't get in and out. We are many and they are few.
But what I'm saying is, are the police, so you're saying what I'm saying. If you goad the police, then they will come towards you with violence.
Yes.
You say to them, it's okay, I'm calm. This is how I did it. At Geza's, I said to them, look, I'm fine. I started singing. All You Need Is Love. And I started chatting to them. And I said, look, these people are just ordinary people. Please don't scare them. You're going,
Mm.
you know, I'm a Jew. I told them, I said, I'm a Jew. And
Oh, you brought up a very
order.
important
And of
point.
course, they
Okay.
backed out. They backed down because there was
Yeah.
violence. So are you saying what I'm saying, that there is an element, though, in this country that is leading us to war in Trafalgar Square last Saturday? And so how are we going to deal with this? I'm telling people, as soon as you feel that, walk away.
But a lot of people
Not
don't
attack you if
feel,
you
do
don't
they?
go towards them.
A lot of people don't use their feelings. They use their mind, and they're not using the side of their mind they should be using, their intuitive side. They're using their logical side. And the logical side is saying, well, this is what happens when somebody gets aggressive. You have to smack him back, you know. But basically, if they use their intuitive side, it would tell them fight or flight. Okay, now we both know that one person against a group of mob, you know, policemen that are in riot gear doesn't stand a chance.
Of course, this is what I keep telling people.
So
I
logically, you would
warn
run.
them. They're not trained. I keep saying, look, you are not trained. The police are trained. They'll annihilate you. Please be careful. But the whole thing was goading to violence, and that's why
Yeah.
I away. So let's come back again.
Well,
What you're saying is there's going to be casualties because it's a war. And
yes,
we can win it, but people need.
but I don't think what we need to realize is this is not just a practical human thing that's going on. There are lots of different things like spirituality, like magic, like aliens, like the whole spectrum of the alternative community, if you like, is involved in this. And until we realize that, and it's all to do with light and love, and until the 3D people realize this, that there's more to life than what they can just see with their eyes, then basically these things will carry on, because what they're doing is creating their reality. Okay, now the other thing I wanted to say, and you brought it up, the fear factor. Now the deep state thrives on our fear. They actually absorb it and it makes them stronger. So we mustn't be afraid, because we will win. We are winning. And there's a project, a scientific project called Looking Glass. Look it up on YouTube. You'll see what it's all about. Now, Looking Glass is what it sort of says. It's like looking into the future. And they say that we have this in this world. So certain people have got access to Looking Glass, and they have been through, and we have won. But we need to upend our thinking into, okay, if we lived in a beautiful world and we didn't have to worry about money or food or anything like that, how would we want that world to go? And would we be warm and loving and full of light? And yes, we would, because we'd be joyful rather than miserable. So we need to start putting that into practice, because that's the reality we want to create.
Of course we do. And what we focus on grows. And this is why I keep saying to people,
Yes, absolutely.
a bunch of
So
people
fear is a no-no, you know.
I have a bunch of people that I live around. They're preparing themselves now. They meet up every Sunday and they're preparing themselves for a massive power cut. And they're creating terracotta heaters and all sorts of things. And I can't go there anymore because I feel like it's fear. I personally don't believe that we will lose all our power. I don't believe that, not in the winter, because something has taken care of the UK.
Yeah.
You feel this, but we
Now
had
this is the light that comes
weather,
through
didn't
Trump
we?
and his team, you see.
We had glorious weather all through the
Yeah,
lockdown.
I know.
So
So
something
how could
inside me
that
says,
possibly be?
I
I mean,
believe
did you
there's something.
notice during the lockdown there were no chemtrails? You know,
There were no
things like
chemtrails, and they weren't digging the roads up as much as I must admit, I was questioning that for years. When they're digging the roads up all the time, were they creating more tunnels to sex traffic the children underneath?
I don't think so. I think genuinely our communications has been changing over the years, and they do need to do an awful lot of work, because a lot of our telephone cable is ancient. So basically they need to replace and renew it all. But what I wanted to say on this video, more than anything, I think, is that we have won, but we now need to put the goodness into everything that we know we have in our hearts. Anything you feel real great love for, that feeling has to be put into life around you, and it will start making the best difference you've ever known. I mean, it has its repercussions. As you said earlier, somebody's given you funding for something, you know, that came out of the blue. And it's literally having that light attitude. I know it's really hard when you're at rock bottom. And believe me, I've been homeless, I've been hungry, I've been broke. But basically, things change. Life is a cycle. The wheel goes up and the wheel goes down. We are going into a really good period.
Okay, let's come back again to the children, because I think a lot of people have woken up, particularly women, when they found out, because you can't not see a program where they're protesting outside Disney or outside Hollywood. It seems to be going on all the time now. So can you talk a little bit about the children, a little bit of the releasing? Because you said to me that when Trump asked for ventilators, and everything he does is codes. You have to check Twitter and you have to check with Q. So when he's talking about ventilators, he's actually talking about the ventilators for the babies. And, you know, it's just unbelievable.
He's talking about
what they've
respirators
done so,
for the children, incubators for the babies, but his term is respirators, you know, the intubators for making it easier for people to breathe with COVID. But the US have been frantically manufacturing these machines to bring the babies up, because the babies are suffering from the bends when they come up. They're so deep underground and they've never known any other pressure. And it's like a diver when he goes diving and he has to acclimatize himself as he comes up from the depths. Otherwise he gets the bends. Well, so do these babies, which is why he needs these breathing apparatus, these breathing machines, so that the babies and the children can be saved on the way up. Because at first, when they started to bring them up, they lost them. They died in their arms. Their insides exploded, and they had to rush around trying to get enough incubators and respirators for these children, so that they wouldn't suffer from the bends and it would help them to breathe. They also, some of them, have never seen the light of day. So their skin bubbles even in cloudy atmospheres. God. So they can't just bring them out. So they don't do this. And if you were, imagine being a small child being brought to the surface for the first time. Would you want hundreds and thousands of people looking at you?
Of course not.
No, and you wouldn't expect them to want that. So they're brought out under cover of darkness. We don't see it. And as I say, some of them are not even being brought out yet because they can't. They have to acclimatize them. But they've got them. They've got the DUMBs. I can actually tell you that 92% of the DUMBs in America have gone. They've completely gone. California, with all the riots and everything, still has a lot of DUMBs. But most of the states is clear. Europe, they're about a quarter through, and they're working at the moment doing the rest. People like, Salisbury Plain is a well-known area in Britain for military manoeuvres, and I think there's a big military base there. There's also a big dam underneath Salisbury Plain. There's one under the Brecon Beacons. But all our tunnels, they stretch to Ireland, to France, up to Scotland, up to Iceland, and beyond, So they're gradually working their way through, but all of the military services are helping. And we don't see it. We might hear a bang at some point. Or
Yeah, we
in
heard
London,
the earthquakes. We had the
huh,
earthquakes, didn't we?
yes.
There was quite a
And
few
if you
earthquakes.
remember,
There was one, yeah,
did I
London or
hear?
Aylesbury, sorry, because that's where the Rothschilds are, near Aylesbury, not very far from me.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. There was like a
Well,
cemetery.
I've got here. It's sort of like a list of our cities that at the moment are going back under COVID lockdown. Okay. And
Right.
basically it's because they've got dams or tunnels or something underneath them that they need to clean out. So they've gone back into lockdown in these areas.
Right.
But I can send you that, so
Oh,
people can
yes.
contact you. I mean, I've got here.
Can you tell us a little bit what you've got there while you're here?
Well, I mean, our cities that are on lockdown. If you remember, if you listen to anything on the news, and when I get my emails, the Yahoo News comes up and it says Liverpool under lockdown, or Bolton and Runcorn and Leicester under lockdown again, parts of Birmingham under lockdown. These are all places that were huge dams, and they need to make sure they're clean and clear, and they've got everybody there to save them. And to do that, they need the public in a safe place. So this is why COVID is the code word, if you like, for we're doing major work in that area, cleaning it up.
Yeah. You see, again, you'll get people saying, oh, the lockdowns are because they want to put in more 5G and total martial law. You got that lunatic.
Yeah, but I mean, we will get military on the streets at some point. I'm pretty sure of that. But it won't matter because literally they'll have our best interests at heart. But what we need to do is we need to start acting for ourselves. Trump can't do it all on his own. He's not a miracle worker. He's actually a very hard-working businessman. And what's happened is he's always said all the way along, I will do as much as I can, but I must put America first. It's my country.
Yes.
Okay. Now, so he said, in all the other countries in the world, you will have to bring in your own regime. And I think the way to do it is local groups. Okay. So your own little area around you will form a group, and you will become responsible for your area and all the money that comes in and out of that area. But Trump is also bringing in GESARA. Now, GESARA stands for Global Economic something reset. It's to do with money. Okay. They have a new computer, and that computer is a quantum computer. So it doesn't work like ordinary computers. It literally works it picks up on things intuitively. So if when we're on the quantum system and America is already on it, okay, the rest of the world will follow in the next few months, maybe a couple of years. But basically, when we're on it, it will sense the bad guys. The bad guys won't be able to do what they've been doing, like selling drugs and banking the money and things like that, because their bank accounts will be closed down. They won't be able to use anything in the financial system, and they will be sussed out and arrested. So basically, there's a whole new world coming in, and people don't realize that, and they don't believe it. So in a way, all this is because they're being shown the change.
Okay, but surely, Elaine, if you start to get the military on the street, like I said, Tobias Elwood said we have to bring in the military, and it was like, oh, no way, we're not, going to let that happen. Surely that's feeding in more and more into the fear, because you start to see the military in the street, and those people like us, people that are not buying into Trump. I'm not saying like us, I'm saying like a lot of people that are awake are not prepared to buy into it. They're going to see that as a reason to fight, or to fight against the military. I mean, how do you draw this line? I mean, you've got the media telling people that this is going to kill them, and they're working for the deep state. They're scaring everyone. Then if you're going to have the military and the police becoming violent and like martial law, then people are going to start going underground and they're going to try to fight back. Do you understand?
Well, I don't think martial law will be universal. I think it will happen where they haven't got enough police to manage things and they have to bring in the army. Or it might be even that they reorganise the police, take them off the streets and they put the military on instead. But I'm not afraid of what's going to happen. I know...
Sorry.
I know that
to wear masks, and masks are very dangerous for you.
Oh yes, and it's all part of we must be shown how bad it gets, if you see what I mean.
But that's where the confusion is, because if the police are going to force people to wear a mask, or the military, which is really bad for us because you're breathing in carbon dioxide all the time, how can that be a good thing?
Well, this may be another reason for the lockdowns. You won't have to go anywhere and wear a mask.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. Okay.
The other thing, of course,
in a different way.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the other thing, of course, is the government has given us an out with masks. If you go to the government website and look at the exemptions, they are so broad that most people could find something that would say I'm exempt. For instance, one of the stipulations is that it causes you great distress to wear it.
I know.
You know, so basically, everybody could say that because it's actually impacting your body in a very bad way. So it does cause you distress. So they've given it to you, but what they're saying is most people don't look beyond the end of their nose or the television. And they need to start using their brain in a different way because the new world will be using it in that different way.
Yeah, you see, that's the thing is I proved to everyone that the government said you're supposed to wear face covering and that most people are exempt. And the reason is because they don't want to have to pay you liability if you get sick. So I don't know why people are walking around wearing sanitary towels or nappies on their face. Because
I have
told them to do that.
The first time I went out and decided I wasn't going to wear a mask, my little heart went boom, 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 boom as I went in, you know. But basically, I've got used to saying now I am exempt, and I do have a genuine reason for exemption. But I'm not going to tell them that reason. They're not supposed to question your reason. You just need to tell them you're exempt.
Yeah, a lot of people they don't listen. They say, oh, the government told me. And I say, no, they didn't. But
well, like I said to you, the media is pretty good at putting fear into people. Sorry?
Yeah. So we'll leave that lot into it because we're looking at a different perspective, a fascinating perspective.
Well, spiritual people say there's going to be a split. Some people are going to stay in 3D, maybe got to 4D. The others are going to rise up to 5D and above. But basically, I don't see that as a physical split. I see that as when Trump lets out, because he's got an emergency broadcast system set up. So when all this is more or less ready to show the public, he's going to take over all broadcasting media and show us what's been going on. And that will be probably a 3-day event or more. Okay. And you won't be able to watch the telly or go on the internet and look things up because all you'll be able to find is this broadcast which tells you what's been going on.
Okay. So as I said, this is absolutely fascinating and I'm really looking forward to it and hoping, please God, that we get the world that we all deserve because I've never had a happy world, ever. I'm not
well, you're going to experience it.
I deserve it the same way as we all deserve to be happy.
Well, up until now, I've been very worried about my children and what sort of life they've got to face because I've seen how the world has gone downhill in my lifetime. But now I can honestly, hand on heart, say they're going to have a lovely time.
So can you?
And they're going to be able to travel. They're going to have the money to do it, everything. But I have some names for you before you go.
Okay. No, we're not finished yet. So,
oh, right. Okay. I thought you were on your way out.
No. This is not going anywhere. So let's come back to something. So the vaccination, the Bill Gates nonsense, that's not going to happen. They're not going to be able to ban us from going on airplane to see the beauty of the world and all of that, because I felt in my heart that it was not going to happen. So what, is he being arrested, or was he just used in some way?
Well, the general public won't accept this, of course, but I've been told that Bill Gates was arrested, and he immediately capitulated to Trump, and he did a complete turnaround and said that he would aid and abet him. So until Trump has managed to clear all these dumps, and he's really engaged in that at the moment, he's actually allowed everything else to play out, and we won't be made to take a vaccine. We will not have 5G as we know it. Texas now has its first Tesla tower up and running.
Wow.
And I've seen
Really?
video footage of that.
You've got
Yes.
it. Okay.
So basically, there's a lot there that I don't think we're going to have to do any of this stuff. It's the deep state and the media ramping up the fear because they need it to feed off of us. They are now weakening. Mm. So my advice to anyone who's afraid of something or worried about something, just think of something you love or you've been really grateful for, and try and stay in that state of gratitude for that, because basically that stops them feeding.
Okay. I mean, the beautiful thing that you said here, that hopefully we need to send this everywhere to help people, particularly the freedom fighters that are feeling that they're going to need to fight, unfortunately. The beautiful thing that you have said is that you have a family, you have kids. Do you have grandkids?
No, I don't have any grandkids. But even my 2 sons, I've been very worried about.
But now, say that directly now to the parents that are watching this, to those that are really scared, that think they're going to have to pick up a gun to protect their family. Could you say that to them?
I have 2 sons. They're now one is 40, one is late 30s. I've been very worried about their future, and I'm 65 now, and basically I've thought, well, I'll be gone, and how will they manage? They won't have their mum to ring and tell things and help them sort it out. And the world, since I've been working, has got a lot worse. We now need 2 parents to make ends meet all the time with the family. You have to pay out for childcare, and just things have got harder and harder and less joyful. But my feeling now, after everything I've learnt in the last few months and everything I'm seeing happening, is one of joy. My sons will be fine. They will live in a lovely world. They will have enough money. They will be able to travel. They will be able to have a nice roof over their heads. Nothing that I was worried about will happen to them in the future if Trump gets through all this stuff that he's dealing with now.
So we're, again, but if he doesn't get in, surely enough people have come together now through Q and through Where We Go One, We Go All. It's called us together, and with the beings of light and everything that's waking up, surely we will be on a high enough vibration ourselves to change the whole consciousness. As I said,
like when you
Magna Carta, we've got the common law in the UK. We can do this ourselves. We can create communes. We can change this consciousness, even if God forbid, he doesn't get in, which I can't see it happening.
Well, they reckon that he's got a 90-odd% lead, so I think he will get this. I think it's a done deal. Okay.
Yeah.
But also, people won't. They used to hijack votes, and they used to invent votes and all sorts, the Democrats. And now, from what I gather, they're using the quantum financial system computer to do the voting on. So it's impossible to doctor it.
Okay, and just another couple of things, because I could go on forever with this. We talked about, you mentioned that you work with common law. yourself now, and that with common law people don't actually have to pay taxes. Is that right?
No, you got that wrong. But
Okay, explain that to me.
okay, you can actually disengage yourself from the contract made by your birth certificate. All you need to do is commonlaw.org, or it's something like that. I'll send you the proper link, but it's commonlaw.org, and you register with them as a citizen, okay, in your own right, a sovereign being.
Mm-hmm.
That actually officially, it's a world website, and it officially disengages you from the contract that was made when your parents signed a birth certificate, and put you under the law that we're using at the moment. It's my understanding our judges are at the moment being retrained in common law, which is a lot simpler than corporate law and so on that they've been using. So we will notice big, huge differences, and everyone will be a common law citizen.
That's incredible. So you go on commonlaw.org.
Yeah, you can even get like a little ID card, which you can pay for. It looks like a credit card, which says you're a common law citizen. And you can actually take that into court, should you ever have to go to court, and show the judge, and he can't hear the case.
So when you see someone, for example, that is drowning because they've lost everything because of the lockdown, they can't pay the rent, they can't do anything. If they become a common law citizen, does that abolish them from paying rent to the landlord?
No, because we have to pay our way in the world, whichever way you look at it. But anything that was taxed, i.e. The inland revenue, council tax, interest on bank loans, interest on mortgages, these are all illegal under common law.
Sure, but surely, I mean, rental has gone sky high. Like this is a one-bedroom house, and I have to pay £850 a month for a one-bedroom house. So
right, well, I have a housing background, okay. Yeah. I worked in social housing for years, and if you do get an eviction notice, you need to go straight to your council, and you give it to them, and you say, I want to go on the housing list. I don't know how to do it. You need to lead me through it. And you stay there till they do that, okay? Right. And then they will, if you are, they'll be swamped, absolutely swamped, because, you know, there are going to be, in the built-up areas, lots of people who have lost everything, okay? But by law, they have to advise you, maybe even supply a deposit on somewhere for you, or find you a B&B. They won't leave, they shouldn't leave you homeless, and especially if you have a special need. Right,
okay, well, it's not like that anymore with the way the councils are horrendous. So I don't want to go.
Oh, yes, but the thing is, they aren't like that by law. They have to do these things. They might tell you that, and they might stick to their guns, and you might have to walk away because you don't understand. But basically, if you just say, I'm not moving anywhere, you need to help me, and you have a duty to help me, they have to do it.
But what I'm saying is, no. And the estate agents don't care if you're homeless either. But
no. Don't look at the private sector. Nobody in the private sector cares.
This has developed in the last 10 years. Everything's gone pear-shaped, and people really don't get looked after. But what I'm saying is, when you become a common law citizen, do you have more rights to be taken care of than you do?
I don't know is the answer. I don't know the ins and outs of it, and I suggest you go to the website, because they do have that on there. They have lots of little PDFs you can read about all sorts of different things, but I don't know the ins and outs of it, Lauren.
And I think a lot of people around are looking at the common law in order to stop all the COVID laws coming out, you know, like taking children away from their families and things like this. So
yes, well, I think that's more of a threat to raise the fear levels than it is an actual practical application. So I mean, I hope to God it isn't, but my heart tells me it's not going to happen. It's a threat to raise the fear up, okay? And those fear levels are high at the moment, and they need to come down.
So yeah, sorry, Elaine, because there is some proof. There are situations. Well, there's a lot going on, which again, I don't really want to go into it with you because that's not why I brought you on here. But I just want to, before we finish, again, we're just going to basically just explain a little bit for what this big conversation was all about. And you were talking about this. We said when the kids actually do come out, there's going to be so many of them because unfortunately they've been breeding as well, which is so sick. Like the mole children, they've been breeding. Where are you? Where are the kids going to go? I mean, you can't. A lot of them that were sex slaves, you can't send them back to their families because a lot of the time the families were involved, and we know that as well. And they're not going to be going back into a good atmosphere. So you mentioned one of your dreams was to create an orphanage where the children could come to and they could be safe where you are.
No, not a dream. It will happen. I mean, the deep state created camps called FEMA camps, okay, for us to go to when they won the war against light, okay. And those FEMA camps, hospital wards, hospital ships, things like that, they're all being used at the moment for these children to make them well. There are over 2,000 different high-tech devices for medical purposes and all sorts of other purposes that have been hidden from us over the years. Now, one of these medical devices is called a medibed.
Yeah.
And the medibed is a magnetic instrument that realigns the magnetism in the body. And we all know that our cells are actually built from a membrane on the outside, which is magnetic. So basically the magnetic medibeds will rebuild, redo all sorts. But what they're going to do is these children need some help mentally and physically. So I think these medibeds are going to be used for them before they go anywhere. They can reset their minds, everything with them. Mind control has been used through torture underground on these children, and it will take a little while to get them back to normal, but everything I'm reading suggests it's very possible that we can erase all that and actually give them good memories rather than bad ones, to give them a bit of a chance in this world. And our world is going to change, as I say. It will be a much better world. So basically they will be in a state of mind to join that world as much as the ones they can save. But you're absolutely right. They found over 1 million children under Central Australia.
1 million.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I'm trying to get the information out drip by drip.
Yeah.
I'm talking to my sister who's in Israel now. She doesn't want to know. I said, Israel is locked down again, and it could be because of what's going on with your government. And
well, Trump always said he would leave Israel till last.
She says I'm insane. That's what they always say. That's why they cut me off. But the thing is, I'm trying to drip it. And I said to them, you've got to start doing your research. I mean, I'm shocked every time I hear it again. It breaks my heart, Elaine, because I couldn't have a child. I wasn't able to adopt because of all the corruption and all the crap. And so I tried to drip it bit by bit to people. But when it comes out,
they reckon that when it comes out,
they'll kill themselves. They won't be.
Yeah, the people will be so shocked. But my meditation and other people I know who are meditating on this at the moment are actually being told that it's not our job to convert someone, to change someone's mind. We can share what we've got because we have a knowledge and an understanding. But at the moment, our job, Lauren, is to rest, relax, gain our strength to fight for those that need our help when all this comes out. And the people that don't awaken will need help, apart from the children. Yeah. I mean, you've got to think that the theory about a bottle, if you push a bottle slightly on its side, it will rock. Okay. And there's a point where if you push it that little bit harder, it rolls right over. They think the population is at that point now. And I hope that's true.
Well, I think us starseeds, every single one I've spoken to, have gone through a hell of a life and a hell of 7 months. And to make us so strong, I lost everything. I even separated from a 27-year marriage, lost my job, lost my family. They all cut me off.
This is a common story amongst
all my friends. And I've attracted the most beautiful souls into my life, the kindest, most loving people that are there, that are basically, we are the core. And you know, people like yourself, that I am so grateful we got to do this interview, because I'm
glad you asked me.
I would love to see a consciousness of bartering. I want to see us sharing our skills. So imagine waking up in the morning and thinking, I don't have to pay anything. If I want to do whatever, I say I want to, I don't know, I want to sing, I want to have a theatre, because that's always...
Well, put it this way.
You just have it. It's just there. And you just exchange your...
Right. The gold in the world is much more than we ever knew. Under the Vatican, they found 15 miles of gold stashed in huge, huge underground caverns. The Queen is supposed to have lost all her gold and now penniless, okay, cut off from her wealth.
Good.
Okay. The gold that they found in various places all over the world, and there's more to find, Trump says is more than enough for everybody to have plenty of money at any time in their life. Okay. So they're looking at, just as a rough sum in America, anybody who's paid taxes and worked for until their retirement, they're looking at a sum of something like $80,000 a year as a gift. Fantastic. Right, now if you think of that in most poor people's pocket, but the thing is, they're not ready for it yet. So we have to wait for that tipping point. Otherwise, they'll just waste it on rubbish.
Do you know what? I did a tarot reading a couple of months ago, which said exactly what you just said, that Nasara and Jasara has been held back because the vibration isn't right. And there's a lot of people that don't want it. They want to carry on. They're already down a PC world buying Christmas presents when all we can think of is saving children's lives. And they're standing out there in queues in the rain because that's all they think about. Probably.
I know, but then they're the people.
Masks, you know what I mean? They'll be buying designer masks.
They're the people stuck in 3D, aren't they?
God,
but if I give you this playlist, this thing, because I want your viewers to be able to check what I'm saying.
Of course.
Okay. So I go to YouTube for lots of reasons and lots of people, but I can give you a list of my YouTube main ones, okay?
Okay. Well, give us some now, whoever's watching, and then you can give me some links and I will put them as well.
Yeah, right. Okay. I watched someone called Kirsten W., and it's KirstenW, and she has a playlist, and it's called Gene Decode Playlist. Okay. There's a Nicholas Hamblin on YouTube. He's English, I think, and talks about English dumbs. Camelot TV, and it's the Mappin family. They have Camelot Castle, and they also talk about all this. There's a psychic and a Galactic Alliance person called Nyla Nugent, and that's NYLANUGENT. She is very good. There's a psychic in Australia called JCK, and it's literally the letters JC space K, and it's called Quantum Truths. She's amazing. She's well worth listening to. Charlie Ward, of course.
Yeah.
Charlie Ward is on YouTube. There is another one called Blessed to Teach. Now remember, a lot of this is American, and the Americans are very goodly godly. So the Blessed to Teach, he's a vicar, I think, of sorts, but he's got a video which proves what I said about Trump being in charge of the world. and it's called Trump in Charge of UK Military. Okay, goes back to January, but it shows you how that's happened. Okay, it's worth a watch. There's Charlie Freak, who's done it from the spiritual side of things, you know, and he's amazing. Everything he's learned has been confirmed by other people, but it came through meditation.
Right.
Okay, so those are a few of those that I wanted to give you before we finished. Also, if people don't believe about the DUMS, they're still working in Britain. And I've actually seen reports of manholes with flames coming out in cities. And that's because they're burning out the tunnels. And some manholes it's escaping through. So, you know, you really need to look that up on YouTube because people have videoed it.
So how can they burn out the tunnels and not hurt the children?
They get the children out first.
They take them out first.
Yeah, everybody's safe first, but then they burn them out to get rid of anybody who might be evil still down there. And apparently, because the dark ones are cannibals, they get a disease which is very contagious. So they clean up the DUMS. Okay.
Oh, it's like living in some weird science.
Well, if you look at Netflix and you look at Hollywood, they've actually warned us of a lot of this in their films. But people always saw it as, oh, it's just a film, it's a sci-fi film, you know. Yeah. But in actual fact, their code of conduct, according to the Galactic Alliance, is they must tell us what they're going to do next. And they've done that with Hollywood.
Right, okay.
Okay. But of course, a lot of people in Hollywood are already in chains. People have gone, and people are locked in their houses. Shows have disappeared. Main people that, I mean, Johnny Depp, I used to love Johnny Depp, you know, he was an adrenochrome user, and
Jim Carrey, I used to love him.
It goes back through to people like the Pack Rats, Sinatra, Gene, you know, they were all part of it, and it's awful. We've lived in a sham for centuries, and we're only just now waking up, which is the nice thing. Yeah.
Well, Elaine, it's been an absolutely mind-blowing interview. I've been looking forward to this interview for a while now because, as I said, we want to know about the kids. People keep saying to me, oh, if this is true, so how
they will be all right. And so will the girls that have been used as breeding mums and, you know, sex slaves and so on. They will all be, as much as you know, people are worried about them, they will all be okay. But we will need people to help and look after them. And those people themselves will need help with doing that. So I want to be part of that, and I expect you do too. And
sorry, Elaine, I expect the people like us, when we see what we see, we're going to be able to deal with it better than other people. Because let's face it, we don't know what these children are going to look like.
No, and also we've got the thing that we've actually, most starseeds and light workers have had very difficult lives. And they've become accustomed to dealing with hardship and seeing horrible things happen. And it kind of gets you ready to do something like this. And when you look back through your life, you'll see synchronicities that have led you to this place. It's an amazing journey. I'm just so grateful I'm here, you know.
But we do need to have that. One of the things I think with the social distancing that doesn't work for me is we're tribal. People are tribal. You see, I grew up in Israel, as I said, and when there was a war, you'd go down to the air raid shelter and everyone would be together and you'd all bond and, you know, and you'd work together. But this has been the loneliest time of my life. Okay, it's making me very strong. It's making me extremely strong. And I've gone back to my dreams, like my music and all sorts of things.
You've gone back to the things that make you joyous, which is what matters.
Literally. But as I said, we need a stronger network, particularly when the kids come out. We're going to need each other because we're going to need to have to hold each other. It's just going to be very, very painful.
I think what we need to be ready for it. So we need to be strong as well. So we need to make sure we're strong. And we also need, we'll need local groups to help, because these DUMs are all over the place, literally. And each region will have something near them that they will need to deal with. And I have a feeling this is why our hospitals have more or less, they're empty. They're waiting for this to happen. And basically, we will have a lot of work to do. But I'm full of hope. I'm full of joy. We were sent here to be here on this earth at this time as souls, and we volunteered for this, in my opinion. And I'm really grateful I'm here to watch the evolution of our race, our world.
Well, as I said, thank you so much, Elaine. Is there anything else you'd like to say? Something?
I've got nothing here in my notes. Oh, there was one thing.
Yeah, go on.
These tunnels reached all over the world, underwater as well, okay? And basically, they've absolutely cleared all the oceanic tunnels. They had anti-gravity trains that went through these tunnels, and they have been put out of commission. The tunnels have been flooded or blown up or whatever. And so now the DUMs that they are clearing, they've got no escape. So, as I say, we've won.
Okay. So, are we going to have a nice Christmas? Getting very close now to Christmas.
I think we will have a reasonable Christmas, yes. And I think we will start seeing confessions from all the people involved in late winter.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I can't wait to put this interview out. I'm sure that it's going to give people a lot of hope and also another perspective, and hopefully it will stop people from confronting the police, on Saturday.
I do
tonight, so they get it before Saturday. So hopefully this will give people a reason to think, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to step back. I'm going to take a breath. Because a lot of people, as I say, I did the tarot, and I got the Knight of Swords upside down. And
right, that's
you don't go out there fast.
It's going to be. Well, see, when I read the Knight of Swords, I see it, and upside down, I see it as a short, sharp shock.
Yeah, but what you want is the Knight of Pentacles, slowly and gently.
Yeah, he's the only knight who stands still and looks before him before he does anything.
Exactly.
Very wise.
Thank you so much, Elaine. As I say, so I just want to say thank you so much to Elaine for coming on and talking to us and giving us a huge amount of information, a huge amount of positive stuff for a change, that you can go back and you can check all the links that she's already given you, and also I'll put them on at the end so you can check them. And please come on Moving On TV with more positive stories. We want your positive stories. And so I wish you well, wish you a wonderful, wonderful evening, Elaine. And I shall send this to you by tonight. As I say, it's going on. I'm going to get on it now.
Great.
We'll go on.
So thank you for having me. And I just hope people don't think I'm too loopy.
Well, there's a hell of a lot of us. And, I don't think...
Well, we're growing, definitely. I think that bottle is about to roll over.
Okay. So we just have to have a lot of hope, a lot of patience and common sense. And just research and research and research. And it's
we must actually take action in our own individual way, and not aggressive action. We need to look further than the end of our nose and stop watching that television.
Oh, yeah. I saw this lovely advert with this girl. She has a hammer. She says that if you want to end fear, she smashes the TV. End of. Well, that's what Moving On TV is, the new media. It's everybody's media. It's a media to give you hope. I put out what I can. I've never, ever had anyone come on here to counteract the truth. And isn't that interesting? They're always whinging and complaining, but they won't come on to debate or counteract anything that we say?
I think their fear actually drives them to a brick wall, and they don't want to go beyond that brick wall. But they're going to have to in some respects. And we should all be, I mean, life always changes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll write a book or something and get all the...
Maybe one day, you never know.
Story in a book. Okay, take care. Lots of love, Elaine. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
So grateful. Thank you. Good
Bye.
night. Take care. Bye-bye. Well, there you go. What an interview. I hope you heard a lot of fascinating stuff. Prepare yourself for the kids coming out. Prepare yourself to be strong. If you're a star seed or an indigo, or you've got a job to do, your job is to hold those that are not going to be able to hold themselves, so to speak. I'm going to give you a list now of the different sites and contacts where you can find more information. Okay, you've got Nyla, Nyla, Nugent, Nugent, on YouTube. She's a psychic. You've got JCKAY, Quantum Truth. And you have got Kirsten W, CIRSTENW. You've got Blessed to Teach, Nicholas Hamblin, I'll put all of these, and Trump in Charge of the UK Military is through, put that into YouTube, Trump in Charge of the UK Military. And what else did she give me here? Okay, commonlaw.org, where you can become a citizen, a common law citizen, and see what exciting things you can do. Getting all the interest back from the banks now, that would be exciting, wouldn't it? Anyway, please subscribe, share, and like. Send this everywhere. God, guys, there's so much incredible information on here. Stay strong, don't fight, pull back the common law, get into your groups, meditate, send out the light, send out the love, but, you know, find out what your rights are, stand up for yourself, and the rest, it's up to you to decide. Do your research. I'm just putting it out there. I love you lots, and let's hope that those poor babies will be brought into safety and love from what we're hearing. I hope I cleared some of that up for you today. And as I say, love you lots. Please subscribe, share, and like. Come on board Moving On TV. Give me more stories, more positive stories. I love you lots. Take care now. Have a beautiful evening.
From me, so leave me a dream, hope and love.